Speed, precision, transformation that sticks. Neurolinguistic programming, NLP, isn't just another tool on the personal development shelf. It's the crowning achievement of human potential, and it absolutely crushes everything else out there. If you're searching for something that actually works, NLP will put you at the top of your game. It's not just positive thinking, it goes to the structure of thinking. It maps how you create meaning so that you can create the meaningful life you want to live. We'll uncover why NLP reigns supreme and what makes it so different. Oh, and if you've hesitated to give NLP a try because of its controversial reputation and its dark history, I understand. I will address this later. Let's dive in. To understand why NLP is second to none, you need to know where it came from. 1970s, university campus, two guys, neither doctors nor gurus, just two brilliant minds, Richard Bandler and John Grinder. Their question: what causes real and lasting change in people? They didn't care about theories, they wanted results, fast. So they modeled the best. Therapists, salespeople, athletes, artists, negotiators, people who produce outcomes that look like magic, and they cracked it. They discovered that excellence has a structure. It can be decoded, replicated, and taught. What looks like talent or luck becomes teachable, repeatable, and transferable. Their rule: if it works, use it. If it doesn't, ditch it. No dogma, no academic approval needed. They uncovered the code of human excellence and called it a model for modeling, neuro-linguistic programming. NLP is the user manual for your mind, a toolkit for transformation. The origin of most self-improvement tools was made for something else, then later adapted to everyday life. Therapy was made for treating mental illness so dysfunctional people could function in society. Stoicism came from trying to answer age-old questions about human existence to live a good life in the ancient world. Affirmations come from religious practices like mantras in order to bring people closer to the divine. But NLP was made for creating excellence in whatever way the practitioner defines it. It's not therapy, it's not a science, it's not a philosophy. Its sole purpose is to enable you to create the outcomes you want that lead to the life you want to live. This means understanding what you truly want and creating the strategies and beliefs necessary to get it. Not work harder, work smarter. A very different approach than those other methods. And that's just the beginning of the story of NLP. NLP has a reputation for making people persuasive and influential. It can absolutely do that. And I'm definitely going to tell you why. But first, let's talk about what makes it so unique. Before NLP was created, human civilization focused on the external world, finding observable truths like in math and physics. What Bandler and Grinder did was turn human perception on itself. They studied the patterns of the observer rather than what we observe. Let's say you're watching a movie. You get so wrapped up in it that you start studying the characters and how they relate to each other, as if they're real. But here's what most people never stop to ask. Who's actually holding the camera? Who's directing the experience? Consider this. Two people with the same resources living in the same world could be living radically different realities. One successful and happy, the other miserable and failing at everything he wants. Bandler and Grinder looked to the very structure of experience to understand why, and they wanted to know if they could change it. Most people overlook that they are the ones creating the reality that they perceive. I'm not saying there isn't an objective reality. What I am saying is that reality cannot have meaning without you. That's your subjectivity. And your subjectivity has universal patterns. The more you understand these patterns, the more you can create the meanings of your reality that you want. Could there be another modality that goes so directly to the heart of understanding human experience? Yes, maybe. But they're not focused on helping you achieve your outcomes and create the life you want with predictable results. Could there be another approach that delivers lasting transformation while keeping it practical, flexible, and insanely effective? Probably not. NLP is that rare combo of precision, speed, and results that most systems only wish they had. That's why it works when everything else fails. Another way to put it, NLP combines the power of the unconscious mind from hypnosis, the precision of cognitive behavioral therapy, and the rationality of stoicism. Some of the most successful people in the world have used NLP to create massive breakthroughs. Tony Robbins built his entire methodology on it after training directly with NLP co-founders in the 1980s. His seminars, interventions, and even his language patterns are rooted in these techniques. Paul McKenna, one of the world's leading hypnotists and self-help authors, studied NLP under Richard Bandler and helped bring it into the mainstream through his best-selling books and TV appearances. They didn't just talk about change, they modeled it. NLP didn't just inspire them, it became part of them. On a personal note, I struggled with depression twice in my life. The first time was in college. I reached out to one of my professors who is a master NLP practitioner, and after just one session, the depression was gone. I remember walking out feeling like someone had just opened a window in my skull and let the light in. The second time I succumbed to depression was 10 years later. This time, I decided to try traditional therapy. It helped, but it took a year. I'm not saying therapy doesn't work. It does. But compare that one session versus a whole year of weekly sessions. After a year of therapy, I was better, but far from well, and miles away from fulfilling my potential. You might be thinking this video is a little biased, and you'd be right. I am biased. Biased toward what works fast, effectively, and sticks. I wouldn't have practiced NLP for the past 13 years if it wasn't delivering massive results. But if you're still not ready to give NLP a try, I'll show you where to see it in action in just a moment. Think about a movie you love. How good was the editing in that movie? You don't remember? That's because you weren't focused on the editing, because great editing works behind the scenes. It shapes the meaning you make of the movie without you ever noticing. The editing tells you if the movie is a horror movie or a comedy, but you thought it was the characters in the story. But what is a story without structure to hold it together? That's exactly how NLP works. It focuses on the structure of your thoughts. You're conscious of the content of your experiences, not the structure of them, but it's the structure that tells you what meaning to make of your experiences. Most personal development strategies focus on content, more specifically, trying to change the meaning of the content, like trying to feel grateful about your life when you're really not feeling it. Without changing how your perception is structured, the meaning won't change. The saying, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, beautifully captures what I mean. This is what makes NLP so fast and effective, because it's way easier to change the structure of your experiences than wrestle with the content of it. Ever tried cheering up someone who's deeply depressed? It doesn't work. Not because the reasons aren't valid, but because you're speaking to content. NLP works on the deeper unconscious level of structure. What you think is reality isn't. It's just your brain's map of reality. A map filled with filters, distortions, and blind spots. Your map was written decades ago by parents, school, failure, trauma, as well as success. You're living by a navigation system that was created haphazardly and hasn't been updated in years. Your brain is like an old GPS, still routing you through detours that no longer exist. You're not broken, you're just using a map that was drawn in the past, and NLP updates that system. So you're no longer reacting from the past, you're choosing to create the present you want to live. And one of the fastest ways to spot where your map is off is in how you speak. Not just what you say out loud, but the inner voice running inside your head every day. Language shows you the code behind your thinking. Nothing I do is ever good enough. That's not just a complaint, that's a belief, a rule your brain follows without question. NLP helps you catch these patterns, not to judge them, but to repattern them into thoughts that serve you, because they're not who you are. They're just the code that has been running your life, and code can be rewritten. So now you run the programs instead of the programs running you. Now you may be thinking, okay, Damon, all of this sounds great, but what is the ultimate proof that NLP crushes everything else? The ultimate proof is this. You will find the truth in your own experience. And I don't just mean by experiencing the benefits of NLP. What I mean is this. Your experience and the meaning you make of it is the only truth you'll ever know. Why would you ever leave that up to chance? The reason people feel helpless and hopeless is because they feel like they're at the mercy of external events like the economy or the job market. But NLP flips the script. It puts the power of creating your experiences back in your hands. And that shows up as real life results. Here's what sets NLP apart. It works at the level of structure, not content. It recognizes your experience as a map, not objective truth. It uses language to track limiting patterns you didn't even know was there so you can change them. It's outcome driven rather than based on hope. It's repeatable so you can replicate your success. NLP is not a science. It's not an art. It's a combination of both because life isn't just one or the other. Living at the highest level of your potential means acting, receiving feedback, and creating your life rather than passively watching it go by. Some people say NLP is manipulative. Yes, it deals with influence, primarily communication. But knowing how influence works doesn't make you dangerous or mean. It makes you self-aware and ethical. In a sense, all communication is manipulation. So doesn't it make sense to understand this so you don't misuse your communication in harmful ways? Also, critics of NLP say it's manipulative and they say that it doesn't work. And I say that doesn't make any sense. How can something be manipulative if it doesn't work? Like anything that's powerful and effective, it can be used for good or harm. Should we not learn martial arts because some bullies misuse it? Or should we learn it so we can defend ourselves from bullies? NLP makes you more influential through understanding how communication affects others. That's true. But from my experience, those who practice NLP become more compassionate, not less, more respectful, more responsible, because they understand that anything that is this effective needs to be handled responsibly. If you've made it this far, you're at least curious about learning NLP. So make sure you're learning from a legit source, because most of what's out there calling itself NLP is junk. I've made over 1,000 videos on NLP. If you want to see real-life examples, you'll find links in the description to demos I've made where you can watch NLP in action. You'll find that below this video. NLP feels like magic, but it's not. It's a model anyone can learn. You're probably wondering, if it's so awesome, why isn't it more popular? Why is it controversial? If you want to know why, some call it revolutionary while others dismiss it completely. If you want to know where NLP comes from, why it faded, and why it's coming back now, then you absolutely need to watch this next video, What the Heck Happened to NLP? It reveals the real story behind the chaos, the controversy, and the lawsuits.